All right, now that you made it here, we're going to address that one talking point that is very important. Everyone's talking about it right now. How do you reduce packaging costs?
Pack it up, pack it in. Pack it.
All right, so the first point that we are going to talk about to help reduce your packaging costs is the stock media. Now with packaging, there are so many different stocks available, like we're literally talking about hundreds of different types of stocks. So my recommendation to you is to go back to your provider and ask them a question: what are their commonly most used stocks for your particular product that you're after? Now the reason I'm asking you to do this is because if your provider is commonly moving a lot of stock, it's likely that they've got a very good buy price for that particular stock. If they've got a good buy price, it in turn means they've got a good sell price to you. If you're getting a good sell price, obviously you're going to start saving some money in that particular item. However, if you're one of those clients who wants something that's not common and you want it to be fancy and different and unique and pretty, and you talk a lot with your hands, but you don't really talk like this, but actually you do. Anyway, my point being is that if you want something that is different and unique, it will likely mean that your provider will have to custom order in a minimum order quantity of raw material. If they're going to do that, it means potentially their buy price is going to be pretty high. Not only that, they're going to make sure they cover all their expenses in buying that raw material and charge you in your packaging price. So it's likely that your buy price is going to go up. So if you do want something that is fancy and different and it's good to first ask your provider, what are the stocks they have available? Even the fancy ones, ask them what are the stocks they have available. They might have it in the warehouse already. So that might help you with the buy price, and it might also help you with a minimum order quantity run as well. Now the second tip I'm going to suggest to you to help reduce those packaging costs is multiple quantity breakdowns. If you need one item, 1,000 items, 10,000, or even 100,000 items, it's always a good thing to go to your provider and ask them in your quote to give you a price on different quantity breakdowns. Irrespective if they tell you about it or not, every provider is going to have a machine operating charge, which is effectively their minimum costs in engaging in your job. Those costs include firing up the machine, the electricity, the building, the rent, the wages, all that kind of stuff. Now with that in mind, you might go back to your provider and ask for a quote on 1,000 units and 2,000 units. And you might not see much of a price saving in those two different tier quantities. However, if you go to your provider and ask for a price on 1,000, 2,000 and 5,000 units, you might see that that 5,000 unit price is going to drop by more than 50% per unit. So the reason you'll see such decreases in price when you increase the quantity is because the provider has already covered their machine operating charges, which is the bulk of the price that they need to charge you when engaging in your job. After that, it just really comes down to the raw materials that they need and their labor and their operating margin that they have to charge you when doing your job, which is obviously a lot lower. So from that point forward, the only further decreases you'll see if you are increasing the quantity is likely to be by the way of the raw materials or the provider's labor and operating charges, which is really going to be minimal. It's not going to be such a massive drop. But if you are one of those people who can't really do the minimum order quantities or these big quantities, look, have no fear. You don't have to engage in custom design packaging. What you can do is be creative. You can go to your stationery provider. You can order just the off-the-shelf bags and boxes and all those kinds of items. You can get yourself custom-made stickers, really nicely designed, or you can even get a real kind of urban style stamp and just give an impression so you've got some sort of unique branding to your packaging. Once your business starts upscaling, then of course engage in some providers, get some quotes and get some custom packaging ordered. Okay, moving forward. Now, if your packaging job requires any type of custom finishing by means of folding, cutting, holes, all that kind of stuff, it's likely you're going to be charged a setup charge, which covers a die cutting knife or a form. So this now brings me to my third tip to help reduce packaging costs. If you are issued a setup charge, Ask your provider, do they have any existing template forms? Now, the setup charges for die cutting knives or form templates can cost several $100s, maybe even more, depending on the job you're getting done. So my advice to you would be that if you see a setup charge coming to you in your quote from your provider, go back to them, ask them, hey, do you have any existing die cutting knives or form templates that are very similar to the size that I've asked you to quote me on? If they do have it, you might be able to use it and you may be able to save yourself several hundred buckaroos. It just might mean you have to compromise your size a little bit, but hey, might be worth it, you know, if you've got some in your pocket. So anyway, point to consider. All right, we're on the fourth tip now to reduce your packaging costs, and that would be to evaluate your color process. Now, you may think that CMYK is expensive because it's a 4-color process and all, but the truth be told is that many providers constantly run CMYK on their machines. Now, if they're constantly running it, it means that their machine overhead and labor time is minimal. Now, because CMYK is capable of producing multicolored outputs, it does allow providers to combine several clients' jobs at the one time on the machine and effectively gang print them. Not that kind of gang, different type of gang. Let me explain. By gang printing, what we mean is that all these jobs are combined in one run together. So the costs in producing that, instead of it being charged to one client, it's effectively charged maybe over 10 or 20 different clients. So all those clients share in a discount. That means that CMYK might be a good choice to use. Now, the only problem with CMYK is color consistency for repeat jobs. Because they're mixing 4 different colors together in the machine pass, it effectively might not be the same every time you get a job printed. There will be some variance. So if you're someone who loves branding and you need color specific output, then you really need to be looking for spot color process. To elaborate a little bit further, spot colors are specifically mixed colors, and they're commonly guided by a Pantone color book. Now, if you provide a reference color from this Pantone color book to a provider, they will know exactly what color you're trying to achieve. And that way there'll always be consistency in the color output. Now, you may think ordering 1 or 2 spot colors is going to be cheaper than ordering CMYK. Truth be told, it may not be. You need to understand that spot colors require time to be pre-mixed. They also require time for the machine to be calibrated to produce that desired output color. So, in comparison to CMYK, it may not be cost effective. It really all depends on your job, your specs, and the machine that's going to be used to produce it. So my advice to you is that when you're getting costings done for your packaging, ask your provider to quote different color processes. Get a price on black. Get a price on 1 spot color, 2 spot colors, CMYK. Compare the differences, and there will be differences. It all depends on the packaging product item that you are ordering and also the machine that's going to be used to produce this item. But I guarantee you there will be a price saving from one of the different color processes. Then after that, you can determine what's more important to you. Is it more important to have a specific branding color, or can you trade that off to having a CMY color that will have variance from job to job? Choice is yours, but you can identify where you want the savings. So there you have it, 4 tips that you can bring into your workflow that can help reduce your packaging expenses. Throw them at your providers, see where you can get some reductions. Hope it all works out beneficial for you. That brings us to the end of today's video. Had a lot of fun doing it, but don't go too far because tomorrow we're going to be talking about sustainability and some environmentally friendly processes with packaging and how to get you there without going nuts on your budget. So until then,
Pack it up, pack it in.